All right, now we're going to talk about decoding a key from a picture. Or if you have the key in front of you, that's also another option. But if you have the key in front of you, there's better options to decode. But let's say you don't have the key in front of you. One example that I had was I have a friend in San Diego. He wasn't able to bring his car down. And so what I was going to do was go up to San Diego and program his keys. But the problem is that I need to duplicate his keys first before I can program them. And so what I did was I told him, hey, send me a picture of your car key and I'll go ahead and I will cut it. And then when I go up there, I'll program it. And so that's one instance on when I needed to do it. There might be other instances where you would require to do a cut by picture. It's pretty rare, but it's really good to know. And it's once you understand how it works, you just have a better understanding of car keys in general. So in this example, this is my car key. It's a 2011 Honda CR-Z. We're going to use this as an example. So just imagine this is a picture. And when you have a picture, you want to make sure it's a clear picture so you can see all the grooves. Now, we're going to do this visually. This is not the most scientific approach. There are more systematic ways of doing this where you actually can take this picture, overlay it with a graph, and be able to get the exact measurements. And you'll know what I'm talking about after I go through the process of decoding. But just know there are more scientific, more robust ways of doing this, but I'm not going to do that. This doesn't happen too often. So I just want to show you a simple way of decoding this by a picture and having the right machine. So we're going to move on over. As you know, we have the Gymkhana 994. This is an automated key cutting machine. It also has software in here that allows us to be able to decode by picture. And so we'll zoom in just so you can see the interface on this, and I'll go through how this works. So the first thing you want to do is you want to use the AutoSmart book, the 2019 AutoSmart phone book. And first, we're going to pull up information on the vehicle itself. So I've done this before. And you know what? I'll just show you it before I show the screen. But okay, 2019 AutoSmart. I'm gonna pull up the Honda tab, Acura, same thing. So over here, you'll see it is the Honda CR-Z. Just to zoom in. Okay, got the Honda CR-Z right here. We're looking for a 2011. That's the vehicle I have. It's a 2011 Honda CR-Z. Key, the section is HON R5. Page 50. That's probably the most important thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn to page 50. Okay, so page 50, what we want to do is we want to find something called the key code series. And that is that number right there. That allows our machine to know what information to pull. So that's what we're looking for. What's also super helpful about this, the AutoSmart, is that there is a section on making a key right here. Making a key right on this side. Most of the, almost all of them, all the keys in this manual has this portion. So it'll tell you, what leashy you need. Leashy is a lock picker. So that's the type that you need. And there's some really other important information here. It'll talk about valet keys and master keys, what's the difference, and different ways of finding the key code. But we're going to decode from a picture, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Now I'm going to move it back over so we can see the interface on the Gymkhana 994. So first off, the reason why we got that key code series is because we need to look it up. And, we'll type in Honda. Okay, so we got Honda. We'll select next. Let's see. Try to get it a little bit closer. Might be a little better. Okay, so we're not doing a Civic. We're doing the Honda CR-Z. Okay, so I selected the Honda CR-Z. next thing. So how do you decide which key it is? And that's why it's important to be able to get the key code series. Now, this is very important. You want to pay attention to this. Key code series, here it's K001. Now, the thing about the K001 is you'll see that is actually the valet key. What we want is the master key. So that's going to be important because the difference between a master key and a valet key is that you have different access. So with the master key, you can get into the trunk, you can get into the glove compartment, and you can start the car. The valet key, it's just a different cut, but it'll start the car, but it won't allow you to open up the glove compartment or the trunk. And so here, what we want to do is we want to select master. And that's the H001. So keep that in mind. That's how Honda sort of works. H is the master, K tends to be the valet. So we're going to click next. Now, before we did a decode on the key, but since we're doing it by picture, we're going to do direct. Now, this is the screen that we get. Now, the good thing about this is that it tells you, okay, there are 6 cuts on both sides. Most laser cut keys tend to be different on both sides. But obviously, if you have the picture, you know, like some people go, well, how do I know if it's a laser cut or you know, whatever it might be? You know, you have the picture, so you can get a feel if it's a laser cut or if it's edge cut. Most edge cut keys tend to be the same on both sides, so it's a, you know, a double edge cut keys tend to be symmetrical, whereas the laser cut keys tend to be asymmetrical, meaning both sides are different. So it's a little bit more of a high security key. Okay, so this section right here, I think we've mentioned this before. There are 6 depth cuts, 1 through 6. All keys tend to be a little different. Some only have 4 options. Some have, you know, 5, some have 6. Hondas tend to have 6, and that's how deep the cuts are. And so how this is gonna work is we're gonna basically eyeball this, okay? So now that we have some information, we're gonna try to take what we see in this picture, in this key, and we're gonna try to replicate it over here by the depth cuts. So, one interesting thing about like this Honda key right here is master keys. The 6th position, which is like right here, so it starts from 1 through 6. Starting this way. So don't get confused. 1 through 6 is a depth cut, but also like the position of the cut is also considered a number. So this will be position 1, position 2, position 3, 4, 5, and 6. But just keep in mind there are depth cuts too. So this could be a 1 through 6 cut, a 1 through 6 cut. And so I'll show you what that means. So here we have this key. Imagine this is just a picture. We want to replicate these cuts on this machine here. So the confusing part can be that you're only in this image, you're looking at just like right about up to there. Okay. So we're going to start out from position 1 and we're going to go down to position 6. So left to right. So if you look right here, that's a very shallow cut, right? That first position right here. So it seems like there might be 2 of those or 3. So I'm going to, you know, we're just going to estimate right now. We're going to try to get the general look of this key down, and then we'll make some adjustments from there. Okay, so from this position, you know, I'm not sure. Let's try it. It might be a 3. It might be a 3 again. So I'm looking here. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm looking here, here, and then here, here. So let's say, you know, here it seems to go down pretty deep. So it could be a 4. Let's try a 4. It looks actually a deeper, maybe 5 cut, right? And then this one looks very shallow. It looks like it's the same as this. And so I'm going to put it at the same. So we have that. Now, if you look at it, it's starting to look like our key, right? So we're doing this visually. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this bottom section. Like I said, laser cut keys, they are not symmetrical. They tend to be asymmetrical, meaning the top portion is different from the bottom. And so we have to figure out the configuration here as well. And so I'm going to look from position 1 all the way to position 6. We're going to start left to right. So position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we'll figure out the depth cuts. This top portion, so we're just estimating right now, trying to get a rough feel for the key. So I think it is a 1 here again. Just, looking at that top portion, it looks like a 1. This one, I'm going to get a closer look. So yeah, this portion looks a little bit deeper of a cut. So I'm going to say it's a 2. It says it slopes up. Then we're looking at this. This looks, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, this could be, we might have to change the top up here because this cut looks like it might be, let's say, a 4. It might even be deeper. So let's go back. So we're just estimating right now, right? We're ballparking so we can get a feel for this because, I don't know what it's going to look like. So we're gonna play with it. This looks like it might be. So this is a 1. I know that because if you look in the Auto Smart book, it says that Honda keys, their 6th position is always a 1 cut. So I know that. So you see that, and that looks the same. So we need to go back here. We need to estimate what does that look like, and we'll just throw out a number. The other side, it looks like potentially a 5. It could be something else, but let's say it's a 5, right? So let's try that out. So let's say that's a 5. We're missing this, so this is not actually a 6. We need that bump right there, and that bump looks deeper than this 1, so we would assume this could be a, let's say, a 2. You see that? Do you see that it's starting to look like the key? Now the thing about this is I think we need to change. So we have a 5, a 2, a 5. I'm going to take a closer look. This actually might be a 4 because I feel like this is deeper, or this is potentially a 6. So I'm going to look at it, and yeah, so the key looks like that. So 3, yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. It's almost there. I feel this might be deeper. This might be a 6. I'm gonna take a closer up look. A 2. So literally, I'm literally just eyeballing this right now and trying to get a good feel. So I'm looking at this. So let's go through it now. 5 and a 5, a 1 and a 1, yes, because we know it's pre-cut at 1, 1. Now 5, that looks like a 5 cut. That looks like a 5 cut, right? And then we go to the next section. It's this bump right here, and then we look right there. That looks like a 3. That looks. So this is a little deeper than this one. So we know if this is a 1, this is probably a 2. And then we look up here. I'm bringing a closer view for me. Yeah, so it looks like, yeah, it could be a 3, and then a 1, 1, because that's, really shallow. Then you have a 1, a 2, and a potentially, yeah, a 6. I think that's actually our key cut right there. So, this is a little bit of trial and error, so you don't want to do this too often. But, in worst case scenarios, at least you have this as an extra tool up your sleeve. It's not the most scientific method, but I think this can actually work. And this is going to be the cut on both sides. Now, this is the thing. You probably want to use a test key. And what that means is that for laser cut keys, that could be just this blade, because there's flip keys that just have this blade portion, and you can use that. It's a couple dollars. You don't want to, if you're not really sure, you don't want to cut a whole key and you mess up this whole thing, because you're sort of estimating, right? And that's why we price these things higher, because there is a possibility of messing up. And so you want to use the test key. It's usually about like $2 to $3. And it'll basically look like this without the remote portion. And there's no chip inside. So, those things cost maybe $2 to $3. And how do you know what that test key is? So we come over here and we're going to look at our AutoSmart again, and it'll show us. So it says right here, test key is HD001. That's a key without a chip in it. And you could buy those at the key wholesalers that we have. So it'll look something like this, but without a chip in it. This one has a chip. So you want to test it on something like that because the cost is lower. You know, you mess up on a key like this, it's expensive, so you don't want to do that. But in a nutshell, that's what we do to decode the key. And then going forward, what we do is if we feel pretty confident about this, we put the key in just as how we do any other key. We put it into the jaw, we follow directions, and we cut the key. So you'll see up here, you know, once we feel confident, we press next. It's going to tell us where to line up the key on the jaw. So it's saying use jaw U, which is what we have. Jaw U, yep, right there, okay. Only time we use other different types of jaws, I think I mentioned this before, is if you're making a Volkswagen key or a European car, they tend to have a different jaw to hold the key in place. But most of the keys that we do, American keys or domestic keys, and most foreign keys, we can use the same jaw. Position UO. So you'll see in this, it's a little hard to see with the light, but if you zoom in right here, it'll have U5, U4, U3. It's just position. U0 is all the way up here. So when you put in the key, you want to look from the side, you know, like this side, to see if it's up to that line. And then you pretty much just tighten this jaw right here. Once you tighten that jaw, you can go ahead and close the shield and you can start the cutting process. I'm not going to actually do it. I've showed it in other videos, but the most important thing is decoding a key via picture using the software that we have here. Then you go ahead and you just cut. Since I don't have one in there, I'm not gonna do that. But that's it. You know, then you cut the key, clean it up, and you test it on the customer's car. And that's how you go about to decode a laser cut or even edge cut, any type of key, via a picture. And this is the less systematic way of doing it. We don't do these often, so we don't really need to create a really robust system to make this work. So that's it. That's how you cut a key by picture.